There is time. There was time. There was a time before the first breath, a forest thrushing with the susurrus of gas exchange, a world-scale garden, exosphere grazed by a swollen moon and the nipple of the sea's heaving breast just out of reach. Animals. Then events occur. A man who is a fox approaches an old man and tells him he is and is not a fox, that he has been vexed with this causation. Then the old man replies. The next day, after the funeral of the fox, the old man teaches his student about nothing. The moon swings its lusty urging across the darkened sky. The trees breathe, some after falling, and the old men say nothing. They discuss the soul of a dog. There is time. Was time. There was time. Was a time before. There was a time before the first breath. A forest thrushing. A forest thrusting with the susurrus of gas exchange. A world-scale garden swollen exosphere grazed by a swollen moon heaving the nipple of the sea's heaving breast just out of reach. Events occur. Then a man is a fox. A man who is a fox approaches an old man and tells him he is and is not a fox. He has been vexed with causation. That he has been vexed with this causation. The old man replies. Then the old man replies. After the funeral. The next day, after the funeral of the fox, the old man teaches his student about nothing. The moon swings its lusty urging across the darkened sky. The trees breathe. Some after falling. Old men and the old men say nothing. They discuss the soul of a dog. There is time. There is time. There was time. There was a time before the first breath. A forest thrusting with the susurrus of gas exchange. A world-scale garden exosphere grazed by a swollen moon and the nipple of the sea's heaving breast just out of reach. Animals. Events occur. A man who is a fox approaches an old man and tells him he is and is not a fox, and is not that he has been vexed with this causation. The old man replies. The next day, after the funeral of the fox, the old man teaches his student about nothing. The moon swings its lusty urging across the darkened sky. The trees breathe, some after falling. The old men say nothing. They discuss the soul of a dog. Time. There is time. Was a time. Was a time. There was time. A forest. There was a time before the first breath. Susurrus of gas thrusting with the susurrus of gas garden grazed by a world-scale garden nipple exosphere grazed by a swollen moon and the nipple of the sea's heaving breast. Events time. A man was time before. Events approaches an old breath. A man who is a fox approaches an old man and tells him he is vexed with causation, grazed by old that he has been vexed with this causation. The next day, after the funeral events, the fox. The next day, after the funeral of the fox, the old man teaches his students about the trees. The moon swings its lusty urging across the darkened sky. The trees breathe. Some after falling swings its dark and the old men say nothing after falling. They discuss the soul of a dog. Nothing. Below us now, the dunes unfold for miles as a quilt dropped out of a transcontinental flight, seen over the sea, falling away from the thrumming porthole window. On the island, there is a lighthouse. It rises over the flat sands which slip sparkling into the Atlantic's salted caressing. There are dogs here. Unmanned on the beaches, German shepherds roam the flockless shoreline, feeding on crab and gifted flight crew scraps. The strays cobble a life here. When they are not hungry, they play, chasing one another into the surf. Then their sleeping legs twitch in their sandy beds as their dreams are hemmed in by the knife blade of the Alps, and they do not count the sheep they chase. Below us now, the dunes unfold for miles as a quilt dropped out of a transcontinental flight over the sea, falling away from the porthole window. On the island, a lighthouse. There is a lighthouse over the flat sands. It rises over the flat into the Atlantic, which slips sparkling into the Atlantic. There are dogs caressing, unmanned on the beaches. There are dogs here. Shepherds unmanned on the beaches, German shepherds roam the flockless shoreline, feeding on crab and gifted flight crew. The strays cobble a life here. When not hungry, when they are not hungry, they play, chasing one another into the surf. Their sleeping legs twitch in their sandy beds as their dreams are hemmed in by the knife blade of the Alps. And they do not count the sheep they chase. Below us now, the dunes unfold for miles as a quilt, dropped out of a transcontinental flight, seen over the sea, falling away from the thrumming porthole, over the sea, falling away. On the island, there is a lighthouse. It rises over the flat sands, sparkling into the Atlantic. There are dogs, unmanned. There are dogs here. On the beach, unmanned on the beaches, German shepherds roam the flockless shoreline, crab and gifted flight crew scraps. The strays cobble when hungry. When not hungry, they are not hungry, they play into the surf, chasing one another into the surf. Twitch. Then their sleeping legs twitch in their sandy beds as their dreams are hemmed by the knife blade of the Alps, and they do not count. They do not chase the sheep they chase. Below us now, the dunes unfold for miles as a quilt, dropped out of a transcontinental flight, falling away from the thrumming islands. On the island, a lighthouse. On the island, flat sands slip. It rises over the falling islands, which slip their dogs into the Atlantic. Shepherds feeding on the beaches, German shepherds shoreline, feeding on crab and strays cobble a life here, chasing one another. When not hungry, one another play. When they are not hungry, chasing their play into the sand, chasing one another into the sleeping legs hemmed in. Then their sleeping legs twitch in their dreams, as their dreams are hemmed in by the knife blade of the Alps. The sheep do not count the sheep they chase. The sun beams in futuring angles, glinting into vacant air between the corners of tables and cherry muscle car red booth cushions. Another truck rumbles by, rattling the road-facing windows, and the sound dies slow. The sole patron feels it after it is beyond hearing, pulsing up the polished chrome counterstool shaft and through the ring on which he rests his feet. There is sizzling. Then there is not, and the heat wafts from the flat cooktop, mingling with the sun heat building as the afternoon drags on like a limping hitcher. The meal had to have been good, or else the will of the eater. The flavor of salt this far into the desert is the ghost of a sea breeze, pleasant but hurtful. The sunbeams, futuring angles, glint into vacant air between the corners, tables, cherry muscle red booth cushions. Another truck rattles by, road facing windows, and the sound dies slow. The patron feels it after it is beyond. Pulsing up the polished chrome counter stool shaft and through the ring on which he rests his feet. There is sizzling. There is, then. There is not. And the heat wafts from the flat cooktop, mingling with the sun heat building as the afternoon drags on like a limping hitcher. The meal had to have been good. The will had to have been good. The flavor or the will this far into the desert of salt is the ghost far into the desert. Pleasant, the ghost, but hurtful. A sea breeze, pleasant, hurtful. The sunbeams in futuring angles, vacant air, into vacant tables and cherry muscle red cushions. Another truck by, rattling road facing windows. The sound dies. The soul patron feels it. The patron is beyond filtering. After pulsing up the polished chrome counter stool shaft and through the ring on which he rests his feet. Through the ring on which he rests his feet. Then there is. And the heat wafts from the flat cooktop, mingling with the sun heat building as the afternoon drags on with the sun heat builds the afternoon meal had to have been good, like a limping pitcher, or else the will of the eater. The meal to have been flavored good, salt this far into the desert. Is the ghost of a salt this far into the desert, but hurtful. Is the ghost a sea breeze, pleasant, hurtful. The sunbeams, futuring angles, glint into vacant air between the corners, cherry muscle red. Another truck rattles by, rattling the road facing windows, and the sound dies slow. Between the patron feels it after it is beyond hearing. Pulsing up the polished chrome counter shaft and through the ring which he rests his feet. There is, then there is not, and the heat wafts from the flat cooktop, mingling with the sun heat building with the afternoon drags on like a limping hitcher, The meal had to have been good. To have been had to have been good, or the will, the flavor, the will eater this far into the desert. To have is far into the desert. Will, the ghost is the ghost. The salt, a sea breeze, pleasant, desert, pleasant, hurtful, ghost, hurtful, a sea. Like a cut underwater, the earth bleeds seams of cloud into being. They pulse from the green rupture on the ocean's plain, marking from great distance the place of the return. The landing strip is fully equipped with cardboard radar antenna, radio towers, all in silent anticipation of a promise made long ago. Messages continue to be received from the pulse of the cloudmaker. The fire rift in the land whispers to its devotees, its thralls, of its monumental indifference. The fire does not react to our dreams. The fire is not aware even that it breaches into the realm of the breathers. It is without sense. Apotheotically continuous, it churns in its glaring ring, unaware. A cut underwater, like earth a cut underwater, the earth clouds into being. pulse from the green rupture on the ocean's plain, marking from great distance the place of the return. The landing strip is fully equipped with cardboard radar antenna, radio towers, all in silent anticipation, silent promise made long ago. A promise made long ago. Continue to be received. Messages continue to be received. The fire rift of the cloud land whispers to its devotees. Its thralls. The land whispers to its monumental indifference. Its thralls. The fire of its monumental into our dreams. The fire does not react. Is not aware even that it breaches into the realm of the breathers. Not aware. It is that it without sense the realm of apotheotically continuous sense. It churns in its glaring apotheotically continuous. Unaware. Churns its glaring ring. Unaware. A cut underwater. Earth bleeds seams. Like a cloud cut underwater. The earth bleeds pulse from the green rupture being. The ocean's plain marking from great distance plain, marking place of the return. The landing strip of the return. The landing strip is fully equipped. Cardboard radar antenna. All radio towers. All silent anticipation. Promise of a promise made long ago. Continue to be received. Messages continue to be received from the pulse of the cloud maker. The fire land whispers to its thralls. Of its monumental indifference. The fire does not react to dreams. The fire is not aware even that it breaches into the realm of the breathers. It is apotheotically continuous, without sense, apotheotically glaring, apotheotically churns in its glaring ring, churns its glaring ring, unaware. A cut underwater. Earth cuts underwater into earth clouds into being pulse from the rupture from the green rupture marking ocean's plain marking from great distance of the return. The radio tower landing fully equipped. All fully radar antenna. Cardboard radar. Radio towers. All in radio towers continue to be received. Promise made long ago. A promise made messages long ago. Cloud to be received. Messages continue to be received. The fire rift of the cloud land whispers to its fire rift. Monumental land it whispers to its monumental does not react its thralls to the fire of its monumental fire dreams. Not aware does not react. Is not aware even that it breaches into the fire of the breather. Not aware monumental it is that it breaches glaring ring of apotheotically unaware fire. It churns in its glaring apotheotically continuous unaware. Churns its glaring ring, unaware. The trees are trees. We can speak of the trees, of how they are trees, of how they appear to be, of their trunks long swilling, of their high thin twigs to remind us they are trees, of their roots concealed, desperate chasming. We can speak of their living, how they appear to live through growth, through permutation, and you will know what we mean to speak of when we speak of the shifting gaps allowing prisms of light to touch the dark earth sheltering below the canopy, the tops of trees, and the source of the light, and the movement of the light, which is everywhere, always, arriving and returning beyond. And do we speak of trees? The trees are trees. We speak of the trees, of how they are trees, how they appear to be, of their trunks long swilling, of their high, thin twigs to remind us they are trees, of their roots concealed, desperate, chasming. We speak of their living, how they appear to live through growth, through permutation. And you know what we speak of when we speak of the shifting gaps, prisms of light touch the dark earth sheltering below the canopy, the tops of trees, and the source of the light, the movement of light, which is everywhere, always, arriving and returning beyond. And do we speak of trees? Trees. The trees are trees. Speak of we speak of the trees. How they are trees. How they appear to be. Their trunks long, swilling. Their high, thin twigs to remind us they are trees. Of their roots concealed, desperate, chasming. We can appear to live of their living growth. How they appear to live through growth. Through permutation, we speak of what we speak of, shifting prisms of light, shifting gaps, touch prisms of light, the dark earth sheltering below the canopy, the tops of trees, the source of the light, the movement of light, everywhere, always, arriving and returning beyond, arriving. And do we speak of trees? We speak. The trees are trees. We speak of the trees, of how they are. Speak of how they appear to be, how they are. Their trunks long, swilling. How they appear of their high, thin twigs to remind us they are trees. Their high, thin twigs of their roots to remind us they are trees. They are. We can speak of their living, how they appear to live their high, thin twigs through permutation. Remind us, permutation. They know what we speak of when we speak of the shifting gaps, prisms of shifting, touch the dark earth sheltering below the canopy, live the tops of trees, and the source of the light, the movement of light, which is everywhere, all prisms of light, arriving and returning. Touch and every source of always light, arriving everywhere, returning, always. We speak, returning, speak. Bounding, the ram runs uphill, all oblique and woodily stiff, shallow among the open gorse and weather-rounded lichened angles, spotting the hilltop where the land is hashed with fences and manifold egging boulders, sees the sky as though some unseen thing within were ready to hatch bursting and own it, casting shadow down upon the ragged downy creatures left here to wander dangerless, who have lost the impulse to peer cloudward, seeking threat from thinner air. The stratosphere, the wisp-making layer of bloodless winds that starshine penetrates, always leaking its pale light, too green to see, lavishing us with color somewhere between bone and night, shielding us from our memory of time, which is itself a kind of death. The ram runs uphill all oblique, bounding, the ram runs uphill, shallow, all among open gorse and weather-rounded, lichened angles, spotting the hilltop, rounded, lichened the land is hashed with fences, where the land is hashed, manifold egging boulders sees the sky as some unseen thing within were ready to hatch bursting. Casting shadow down on ragged creatures left here to wander dangerous, who have lost the impulse to peer cloudward, seeking threat from thinner air. peer cloudward, seeking threat the wisp-making layer of bloodless winds. Stratosphere, starshine penetrates always, wisp-making its pale light, bloodless wind to see. Starshine penetrates always, somewhere between bone its pale and light, shielding us lavishing from our memory color of time, somewhere which is between bone and night, a kind of death, shielding us. Memory of time, which is a kind of death. Bounding the ram runs uphill, all the ram runs uphill, woodily stiff, shallow among gorse, wood stiff, rounded like shallow like open spotting land hashed with fences, like the land is hashed with fences, hilltops, the sky, manifold egging boulders, manifold boulders bursting, and some unseen sky with shadow down upon some ready to hatching, bursting left here to wander, casting shadows down on ragged creatures, threat from left to wander the stratosphere, lost, the wisp-making layer, cloudward, seeking threat penetrates thinner air, its pale light, stratosphere, bloodless winds, wisp-lavishing layer, starshine, bloodless winds, bone, always, starshine penetrates from our memory of time, its pale light color itself, lavishing with color somewhere, night between bone, shielding us, shielding us, which is memory of time, a kind of death, which is a kind of death. Bounding, the ram runs uphill, all oblique and woodily stiff. The ram runs uphill, the ram runs uphill, all wood stiff, woodily shallow among open gorse, and weather rounded like spotting hilltop, unseen thing within. The land is hashed with fences, boulders, manifold egging skies, uphill sky, some unseen thing among gorse, cast down on ragged creatures. Air, casting the shadow down on ragged, manifold layer of bloodless wind, peer cloudward, seek threat, some lost pale air, peer cloudward, seeking bloodless winds, color somewhere between stratosphere, wander lost, always making layer, pale light, bloodless cloudward, seek starshine, color penetrates thinner air, its pale light. Lavish wind with color somewhere, starshine between bone, which always shielding color, memory shield us, which is memory, a kind of death, which is kind. An old Chinese man told a story about another old Chinese man saying nothing about a dog's soul. In Cape Verde, stray dogs roam the beach, their square jaws genetically loyal to a continent which abandoned them. At the counter of the day-lit all-night diner, a lone, unthinking man lifts stray grains of salt with his fingertip and feels satisfied. And in Micronesia, a volcano's cauldron of naked magma roils and glares. In Dublin, moonlight licks the dewy lawns, and two people slip through a fence break around the green to argue about love in the boughs of a fallen tree. And rocking somewhere on a plane or a train, the filmmaker smiles, then wakes from his dream and looks straight-faced out the window into solid blackness. An old Chinese man told a story about another old Chinese man saying nothing about a dog's soul. In Cape Verde, stray dogs roam the beach, their square jaws genetically loyal to a continent which abandoned them. At the counter of the day-lit all-night diner, the all-night diner, unthinking man lifts stray grains of salt with his fingertip and feels satisfied. And in Micronesia, a volcano's cauldron of magma. In Dublin, moonlight licks the dewy lawns, and two people slip through a fence break around the green to argue about love in the boughs of a fallen tree. Fence break around the green somewhere on a plane or in the boughs of a tree. The filmmaker smiles, then wakes from his dream on a plane or a train out the window. The filmmaker smiles, blackness, then wakes from his dream and looks out the window into blackness. An old Chinese man told a story about another old Chinese man told a story about a story saying nothing about Cape Verde. Stray dogs roam the beach. In Cape Verde, dogs roam the continent. Dogs roam. Jaws loyal to the continent of the day-lit all-night diner alone. At the counter, man lifts the all-night diner of salt with his fingertip. A man lifts grains of salt with his fingertip. Man lifts grains of volcanoes cauldron of naked magma. Fingertip. Micronesia, a volcano's cauldron of magma, the dewy lawns, royals and magma slip through a fence break around in Dublin to argue about love. Moonlight licks the lawns, and two people rocking through a somewhere on a plane or a train to argue about love in the boughs and wakes from his dream, looks straight out the window, rocking to solid blackness. The filmmaker smiles, then awakes from his dream and wakes out the window, dream into blackness, window, blackness. A man told a story about another told a story about another old Chinese man told a story in Cape Verde. Man saying dogs roam the stray dogs roam the beach. Jaws loyal genetic dogs which abandoned them. Beach. At the counter, the all-night day-lit continent diner, alone, a man lifts grains of salt with his fingertip, and feels satisfied. Man lifts grains and in Micronesia, a volcano's cauldron naked magma roils and glares. In Dublin, moonlight magma lawns, moonlight licks the lawns break around two people to argue about love on the boughs around the green. Two people argue about rocking somewhere on a plane or a train. And filmmaker smiles on a plane and wakes from his dream and looks straight rocking out the window and wakes from his dream and looks. Maker out the windows, wakes, blackness, dream, looks, window, blackness.